Okay guys, so happy 4th of July first of all. I'm pretty excited. One, because it's a new day. Two, it's 4th of July and I'm about to go hang out with some friends and family and eat good and all of that. But before I do that, I want to see if I can start this Trans Am with the 5.3 liter board 30 over single turbo and you know all the mods that I've done to this car. I want to see if I can start this thing up without the transmission in it. Of course I can, but I just want to see if it runs or if it doesn't run. I'm pretty anxious, so I want to get this done. So I got the funnel over there to put the coolant in. I'm going to put the oil in there as well. And I'm going to use that same jug over there and put it on the oil feed line here and just crank the motor over to make sure we have oil pressure and the oil's going through the feed there. That way I know the turbo is getting fed with oil. But yeah, we're just gonna see what happens. I'm gonna set the regulator at a low pressure PSI, and since it will be running very rich, but we're just gonna see what happens, guys. Now I'm gonna get my buddy to help me out to set the pressure on that regulator. I put some 530 Royal Purple in here. After I get the car tuned and all that stuff, I'm gonna switch it over to a heavier oil, which most likely will be diesel oil, because as much boost I'm gonna be making on this, it's gonna need a lot more than 530, but this is what I have and this is what I'm going to be using. But yeah, here it is right here. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention is that when I do crank it over, like I said, I'm going to see if it has oil pressure, because that's the most important thing other than fuel pressure and making sure the vehicle has power and stuff. Once I get all that squared away, I'm going to plug up the factory harness for the ignition system, and I'm not going to hook up the two-step controller right now. I'm just going to hook it up to the factory harness and go from there. Okay, alright, so as you guys can see, I'm going to pull this hose over here out. That crossover tube right there, where my finger is at, the coolant just drained out of it. I filled the radiator all the way up, and I filled the block all the way up. That's pretty much how you know that the block is filled with coolant, because, watch this. See how that coolant's coming out? Now we can put it back on. Alright, go ahead. Nothing?
Nope.
Alright. Alright, I'm gonna go in the vehicle to see if it starts up. I don't know. Let's sit this. Come over here and check for leaks.
Yeah, hang on 2 seconds.
Alright. Woo! It was those ground wires, man, in the back.
Back of the car?
No, in the back of the engine. There was 3 ground wires.
Yeah. What'd I tell you?
Yeah. Woo! Let's get it, boy. Alright, you see any oil come up in there?
And where?
Oil's supposed to come out through here.
No.
Not yet?
No.
Alright.
Nothing. I don't think you spin it over fast enough, David.
Whoa, woo! Wait a minute. Okay, it is the day after the 4th of July. Still couldn't get enough oil pressure to save this thing's life until I got Brad to help me out. He just said put your thumb on the feed line and that should build a decent amount of pressure to bring the oil through. Prior to doing that, after cranking this up a couple times for the past 2 days, I ended up just checking the oil feed block and oil started pouring out. So that tells me oil was finally got to that block feed thing from ICT. And I took it off, took the line off of it as well, and the oil was sitting in there. So that means it was really close to feeding all the way up top where the turbo is. So now I had it tightened up. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to start it up. He's just going to check to see if anything is not looking right or leaking and whatnot. And speaking of, one of my freeze plug on the cylinder head was not on. So when I put the coolant in there, it was spilling at least like maybe a quart or two of coolant. I didn't realize this until after I heard some trickling and it just started pouring out. I was like, oh my gosh. So I got a plug from Shane's LS motor. I put that thing in there. So yeah, it's good to go now. And I got all the air out of it too. So let's go ahead and let's see. Let me plug some things up. Let me re-plug the sensors up in the back for the cam sensor and all that and go from there. Started. Alright, we're gonna plug the wire harness. We're just gonna see what it does. Woo! What? What did that? I shut it off.
What?
I don't know what sound that was.
Huh?
I don't know what sound that was.
What do you mean? I didn't hear nothing wrong.
Oh, okay.
Now that. The back part.
Yeah.
No,
Woo! I thought it was I thought I heard a clank. Damn.
You might have.
Woo! Hey, can you record that turbo spinning? I want to try and do it again. Yeah.
Be alright.
That's a bad backfire. Shit.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one, but we in an enclosed area. And then plus you did prime that thing up 4 or 5 times before it hit, so come on.
Yeah.
You heard that metally sound, didn't you?
Yeah. I don't know
It sounded over there. Over there.
Over there?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the starter
You may
again.
need to shim that starter.
What's going on, everybody? It is currently the following week of 4th of July. I hope everybody had a great 4th and enjoyed themselves with the fireworks and all of that stuff. But we are back at it again, and I finally got the transmission back. It's sitting underneath the car. It's not bolted in yet. I got to fix the fuel line that's leaking, and I'll show you all that in a second. And once I get done with that, I'm gonna then put the transmission up in there, do the rest of the wiring and stuff like that, get it all figured out, get the feed and drain cooler lines on the transmission. And then from there, we're going to get a measurement of the drive shaft, measurement for the drive shaft, and then take that information to Jackson Powertrain and get them to build it. And hopefully they'll have it done later on tonight or tomorrow the next morning. So I got the oil for the transmission right there. And another thing I wanted to show you guys is I got my turbo guard from MAE, or is it MA Performance or something like that. I wanted the blue one, but it was supposed to get here a day before July because I bought it Tuesday, and I wanted it to be here the following day, so I paid for the 1-day shipping, and I didn't hear back from them, or got any information on my email. So I called them the following week, and they're like, hey, the blue turbo guard is 6 to 8 weeks out. I'm not waiting that long for that, and I don't want my engine running on the street without a turbo guard because that's not safe for this turbo. Anything can get up in this turbo and ruin it. Depending on what it is, but usually 90% of the time, if anything gets up in that blade, it can destroy the blade and the turbo and stuff like that. But anyhow, I said, no, I'm not waiting that long. Do you have any other ones that are in stock that you can hand me for the following day? And they told me that yes, we have a black one in stock. So I went ahead and got that one, and this is what that looks like, obviously. So anyways, let's get to it. We're getting pretty close. There we go. All right. Alright guys, I've been struggling. I got the transmission in, and it took me about 2.5 hours to put it in because I'm on the ground as it is to fish that thing in there and tilt it and lift it up and try and get the bolts in. And I'll be honest, I broke 2 of the bolts. So I'm just going to kind of leave them in there for a little bit. But I got the other 3 on. So, and then I got the torque converter bolts on as well, and then the cross members on the transmission as well. So there it is. There's the slip yoke, and the transmission is finally in. Look at how close that fuel line is from the transmission. I mean, it's not too terribly close, but I mean, the bell housing is like right here where my finger is at, and then here's the fuel line. They're about maybe about an inch or two in the gap right there where my finger is at. But also got the shift link on. Now I'm gonna go ahead and measure the drive shaft. What you want to do is put the slip yoke as far in as possible, and it can't go in no more. That is about at least an inch out, which from the factory, that's the way that they wanted it anyway. So that's why I can't push it all the way in. So that's about an inch there. And then you measure from that inch, and then you bring it, you take the tape measure from that inch, and then you measure it from here all the way back there on the 9-inch there. I took one of the U-bolts out, but in between the bolt holes in the center, right there, that's where you want to stop measuring at. And then that will be your drive shaft measurement there. And then take the measurements to the shop, get them to build it, and it should be good to go. So let's go ahead and do that. Y'all don't have to watch me do that. That's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm still able to get all of the wires and the cables out from the floor through that boot there, factory boot, to wire up the fans and then get this thing adjusted.